Dear students, let us study one more concept in the chapter Transport in Plants. What is that concept? Uptake and transport of mineral nutrients. Okay, uptake and transport of mineral nutrients, right? And we know that plants will obtain their carbon. Okay, the plants will obtain their carbon and most of their oxygen. Okay, and most of their oxygen from the carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere, right? And however their remaining nutritional requirements, okay, their remaining nutritional requirements are obtained from water as well as the minerals, water as well as the minerals which are present in the soil, right? And let us understand how the uptake of mineral ions takes place, right? And regarding this concept, okay, and we know that all minerals okay, it means unlike water, okay, whatever the minerals are there, which are present in the soil, all minerals, they cannot be passively absorbed by the roots. Okay, they cannot be passively absorbed by the roots. Okay, and because the two factors will account for this one, right? Okay, and here but most minerals are actively absorbed. Okay, they are not passively absorbed, um, and they are, or most minerals are actively absorbed by the roots. Okay, because the reasons are as follows. Okay, one is the minerals occur okay, the minerals which occur in the soil as charged particles or ions. Okay, and they cannot move across the cell membrane. Okay, this is one thing or one reason. And second reason is why there is an active transport here or active absorption. The second reason is the concentration of soil minerals. The concentration of the soil minerals is lower than that of the root. Okay, because of this one, the active transport occurs here. Okay, because of this reason, the most minerals, they must enter the root by active absorption into the cytoplasm of the epidermal cells. Okay, and this process, okay, this process needs energy in the form of ATP. Okay, already we have studied this process. The active transport mechanism involves the utilization of energy, right? And here the active uptake, okay, the active uptake of the ions, the active uptake of ions is partly responsible for the water potential gradient in the cells, water potential gradient in the roots, right? Okay, then and therefore for the uptake of water by the osmosis, right? Okay, what is the meaning here? The active uptake of ions is partly responsible for the water potential gradient in the roots. Okay, and therefore the uptake of water by the osmosis. Okay, water will also enter the roots by the osmotic phenomenon. Okay, and remember, uh, we told that the ions, they will be actively absorbed, but some of the ions are absorbed passively also. Okay, but the majority will be absorbed through the active transport mechanism only. Okay, but few or some ions are absorbed passively, right? Okay, and one more thing is uh, in case of the membrane proteins. Okay, for the absorption process or for the active absorption process, what is required here? The specific membrane proteins of the root hair cells. Okay, root hair cells actively pump ions from the soil into the epidermal cells, right? And remember, membrane proteins will also be present in the root hair cells. Okay, they are responsible for the movement of the ions from soil into the epidermal cells, right? Okay, and another important point is endodermis. Okay, in the anatomy of root we have studied about the endodermis part. Okay, and the endodermal cell also shows the presence of cell membrane. Okay, sorry, endodermal cell membrane also has a transport proteins. Okay, I told you we have studied about the endodermal cells, and in the endodermal cells also the cell membrane will be there. That cell membrane also shows the presence of the transport proteins, right? And what is the role of transport proteins here? They allow some of the solutes to cross through the membrane. Okay, they allow some solutes to cross the membrane, but they will not allow to other solutes. Okay, they will allow only some selected solutes. Okay, and these proteins or these transport proteins, they will act as the control points. Okay, control points means what here? They just act like the checkpoints. Okay, these proteins are control points or checkpoints where a plant adjusts the quantity and the types of solutes that reach the xylem. Okay, because of the presence of this one, the plant will adjust itself for the quantity and types of the solutes that will reach the xylem, right? Okay, and one more important point here. In case of endodermal cells, what will be present? The suberin deposition will be present. Okay, in the previous class what we discussed, it is nothing but the uh, uh, Casparian bands or Casparian thickenings. Okay, and here the suberin in the root endodermis allows the active transport of ions in one direction only. Remember, okay, the suberin in the root endodermis allows active transport of the ions in one direction only, not in both the directions, right? Okay, and let us move on to the other concept called as translocation of the mineral ions. Okay, and now we have studied the ions which are present in the soil. However, they have reached the xylem through active transport. Majority of it will be occurs by active transport only, or sometimes it may occur by passive uptake only. But however, they will reach the xylem which is present in the root, or sometimes there is a combination of both the methods like active transport as well as the passive transport, but finally they will reach the xylem of the root. Now their further transport, okay, their further transport toward the remaining parts of the plant like stem and the other parts of the plant, it occurs through a process called as transpiration stream. Okay, transpiration stream means what here? It will occur due to the development of the transpiration pool in the plant body. Okay, that we already discussed this point, right? And here in a plant, remember, in a plant, and in the given diagram what you can observe here, in the figure, lateral meristems and the shoot apical meristems in buds, right? Okay, and in a plant we are going to understand some important terminologies here. Chief sinks for mineral elements. Okay, and here we are in a plant, we are going to use the two important terms here. One is called as the source. Okay, source and a sink. Okay, and here in case of the plants, okay, uh, the photosynthetic region is called as the source, and the utilization region is considered as the source, right? And here what are the chief sinks for mineral elements? It means what here? Where the where the minerals get utilized, right? And here we are going to mention the chief sinks for the mineral elements. It means where the minerals are or various minerals are utilized in the plant. Okay, and it means the first one is growing regions of the plant. Okay, growing regions of the plant such as the apical and the lateral meristem. Okay, apical and lateral meristem. Okay, what do you mean by apical and lateral meristem here? We already studied this one while studying the uh, uh, anatomy part. Okay, apical meristem, the meristematic tissue which is present at the extreme tip of the plant body. Okay, that is apical meristem. Okay, so we can mention it as the root apical meristem as well as the shoot apical meristem. And lateral meristem means what here? The meristematic tissue which is present in the lateral position of the plant body. So we call it as the lateral meristem. Okay, already we have studied all these concepts in plant anatomy part, right? And where the mineral elements are utilized here, they are utilized in the growing regions such as the apical and lateral meristems, and they are also utilized by the young leaves, okay, for the development of the young leaves, and for the development of the flowers or developing flowers, then even fruits and the seeds, okay, and even the storage organs, okay, storage organs, okay, say for example root, okay, root is a storage organ. In all these regions the mineral elements are utilized, okay, so we consider all these regions as the sinks or chief sinks, right? And uh, remember how the we have to understand how the unloading of mineral ions occurs, right? Unloading, it means when they reach a particular target site, right? Unloading of mineral ions occurs at the fine vein endings. Vein endings means this is in case of the leaves, okay. Unloading of mineral ions occurs at the fine vein endings through the diffusion process, okay. Their unloading occurs through the diffusion, but how the cells will receive these molecules, okay. And while receiving, the ions are received by the tissue or cells by the active uptake, right? Okay. uh, Unloading will occur by the diffusion process, by uptaking process by the cells or by the tissues of the things takes place by the active transport, okay, or active uptake, right? This is one important thing, right? And another one is mineral ions, okay. Mineral ions are also frequently remobilized, okay. Mineral ions are also frequently remobilized. It means what here? Wherever they are present from that region, they may move into the other parts, okay. Particularly from older senescing parts, okay. From older senescing means when the lifespan of any organ is completed, uh, whatever the minerals present in that organ, they will be moving to the other parts of the plant, right? Okay, senescing, it means what here? Mm, Mineral ions are also frequently remobilized, particularly from older senescing parts, that is older dying leaves. Say for example older dying leaves, okay, dying leaves to younger leaves, okay. And this is one thing. And one more thing is elements most rapidly mobilized are, okay, elements most rapidly uh, mobilized are phosphorus, okay, then sulfur, phosphorus, then sulfur, then nitrogen, as well as the potassium, okay. They can easily remobilized, right? And some elements they will not be remobilized, okay, because they occupy the uh, permanent position, right? Say for example some elements that are structural components like calcium, they are not remobilized. Why? Because the calcium forms the cell wall structure, or it forms the middle lamella of the cell wall structure. So for this reason it is not remobilized here. It can be considered as an immobile element, right? Calcium, okay. And some are mobilized here. What are those? Phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, and potassium, right? And this is about the translocation of the mineral ions, right? And one more thing is we have studied that the nitrogen, okay, nitrogen is mainly carried in organic forms, right? Nitrogen is mainly carried in organic forms, okay, such as uh, amino acids and related compounds, right? And here nitrogen is mainly carried in organic forms. Organic forms means In what form it will move here? In the form of amino acids and related compounds. And some nitrogen it will travel as the inorganic ions also, right? Okay, and remember uh, some phosphorus and sulfates are also carried as organic compounds, right? Some phosphorus as well as sulfur are also carried as organic compounds, and there is also exchange of materials between xylem and phloem. Okay, this is important sentence here. Okay, sometimes there is also exchange of materials between xylem and phloem, but generally what we mention here, xylem conducts water and the minerals, but phloem conducts the food material. Okay, and the functions we mention like this normally, but what will happen here, there is an exchange. Also there may be also an exchange of materials between the xylem and phloem. Okay, and hence uh, we cannot clearly say that xylem transports only inorganic nutrients while phloem transports only organic materials, right? Okay, and this is about the uh, translocation of what are the two important concepts we discussed here. One is uptake of mineral ions. Okay, then second one is translocation of mineral ions. Okay, and here the two important concepts what they will explain in the first part, that is in the uptake of mineral ions, how the minerals which are present in the soil. Okay, the minerals will be present in the soil, and how these minerals are uptaken by the roots. This is one part, and it occurs by the active transport, but sometimes it occurs by passive transport. Okay, it may occur by active or passive transport. Finally those minerals will reach the xylem of the root, and from the xylem again how these minerals will be translocated to the remaining parts of the plant body. This is one concept. For this we mention the title translocation of mineral ions, right? And one more part is the phloem transport. Phloem transport, right? And here phloem transport, what it explains here, it explains about the translocation of the food material. Phloem transport, remember what it means here, what it explains here, it explains about the food translocation only. Okay, photosynthetic products. Okay, photosynthetic products within bracket what we have written here, phloem, right? Okay, and in the beginning concept what we are going to study here, flow from source to sink. Flow from source to sink, right? And I told you we are going to uh, study the two important terms here. One is source and another one is the sink, right? And remember, uh, flow from source to sink. What is phloem transport here? First we need to understand the meaning of this one. Okay, it is the long distance movement of organic substances. Okay, it is the long distance movement of organic substances. It is nothing but food only, primarily sucrose, right? Primarily sucrose. Okay, from a source. Okay, source means what here? Region of synthesis of food. Okay, and remember in plants where the food is synthesized in the leaf part. Okay, that is the leaf, to a sink. Sink means what here? Sink is considered as a region of storage or utilization of food. Okay, a sink is the term used to uh, tell that it is the region of storage or the utilization of food. For this region we call it as the sink. Okay, from source to sink means what here? It occurs through which tissue here? It occurs through the phloem tissue only. Phloem tissue only, right? And here uh, remember the source and sink relation, or the source and sink relationship may be reversed. Okay, and it also depends upon the season here. Okay, it is depending on the season or the plant's needs. Okay, say for example in early spring, what will happen here? The sugar whatever stored in the roots is moved to the tree buds. for growth and development of photosynthetic apparatus. Okay, in early spring season, okay, if the food scarcity is there, then the sugar will move to the root part to the tree buds, okay, for the development of tree buds and the growth, as well as for the development of photosynthetic apparatus. And in this situation the food will move here from where to where it will move here, from again the sink to the source here. It means the source and sink relationship is reversed here. Okay, and here at the time of food requirement, the buds will act as the sink here. The root part will act as the uh, source here, right? Okay, tree buds and for the development of photosynthetic apparatus. Okay, it means what here? Photosynthetic apparatus, development of photosynthetic apparatus means it is nothing but the chloroplast, for the chloroplast development. Okay, thus root becomes the source and the buds become the sink, right? Okay, then let us understand about the direction of the food in the phloem, right? And here direction of movement in the phloem can be upwards and downwards. Okay, it can occur in both the directions. Okay, either upwards or the downward direction. Okay, so we mention it as the bidirectional movement. Okay, the phloem translocation is said to be bidirectional one. Okay, whereas in case of xylem, the movement is always upwards. Okay, it is said to be unidirectional. It means hence food in phloem sap can be transported in any direction, but xylem shows only unidirectional movement, that is unidirectional movement of the water, right? Okay, then next point, phloem sap is mainly water and sucrose. Okay, in phloem sap, if we analyze the phloem sap, it contains mainly what? It contains mainly water as well as the sucrose. Okay, and in addition to this one, some other kind of sugars will also be present in that sap. Okay, uh, some other kind of sugars, say for example raffinose, etc. Okay, and some hormones, plant hormones, and even some of the amino acids are also translocated in the phloem sap, in the phloem sap, right? Okay, and now here in the given diagram you can understand, okay, what is there. uh, the transpiration of water, it occurs through xylem, and in one side phloem will be there. In phloem, translocation of sucrose, it is nothing but the sieve tube. And next to this sieve tube, already you have studied the structure of phloem or vertical section of phloem. Next to the sieve tube, what will be there? Companion cells will be there. And next to the companion cell, what will be there? The parenchyma cells will be there. Okay, and here this is source. Okay, leaf cell is considered as the source, and here root cell is considered as the sink, right? Okay, and with this the concept is completed, and in the next YouTube class I will explain you the pressure flow hypothesis or mass flow hypothesis. Okay, it explains about the flow of food from source to sink. Okay, that hypothesis is called as pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis. Okay, I will explain you it in the next YouTube class. Okay, thank you.